Well, thanks for introduction and thanks for having me. Please working. I realize the title I sent might be up for debate. The machine, whether or not machine should be considered as teammates, and what is really a true teammate. But for the sake of conversation later on, I'll just use teammate as the term. But it's really just metaphorically. How can we think about machines to help people? All right, so my work is really in the space of human-robot interaction, HRI, and it's a space where we use a lot of robots, like physical robots, but we borrow a lot of HCI methodologies. So you'll see some element of that in a few minutes. So before I go into the specific work that I want to talk about, I just want to lay out the landscape. Right, so on one hand, we can see machines or robots at large, it are just passive tools, right? So they don't necessarily have intelligence right now. I mean, there are a lot of research going on trying to make those surgical robots to be more and more intelligent, but they are pretty much tools for surgeons to operate. On the other hand, you have more autonomous machines, where it's like warehouse robots that this, if you buy stuff now, pretty much, these robots are handling your packages. Almost zero human intervention, it's pretty fully autonomous. Same thing for manufacturing. Right, so this is car manufacturing. I would say 85-90% of the manufacturing process is fully autonomous. If you look at the picture here, there's a person. She's standing outside of the cage of robot. Just because the robot's moving so fast, there's zero interaction. The person there just like monitoring, just make sure everything's okay. So zero interaction. But we're moving to a space where these dynamics changing. They are becoming more, machines are becoming more assistive and collaborative, working alongside people. In the case of manufacturing, we are seeing collaborative robots like this come into play. And these are actually working robots in manufacturing. There's a big one in Baltimore, Maryland, and there's many across the nation and also the globe. And the reason being, like small and medium-sized factory, they just don't have the money to build this very expensive, fully automated floor. And therefore, they want to something that's customizable, that can be easily recustomized based on their product needs. And this kind of collaboration is going beyond just manufacturing, right? We're seeing this to a space where, supermarket, hospital, this is also actually in operation right now across the nation, and also in hospitality. Not only in the more public space, but also coming to closer to our personal space, right? So, and obviously these are mostly just in research phase right now. We're thinking about robots can play some role in education, in personal care, or even just hospital care in general. So just give you one example of what this might look like. I'll use one of the earlier project that we did using social robots for children with autism. And I want to start with this CNN clip to show you the kind of interaction that we're looking for.
Children with autism often have a hard time talking with or even looking at human therapists, like this boy. But look at how he lights up with Milo.
We found that.
So there are quite a bit of empirical evidence to show that children with autism, they interact better with technologies, robots, computers, tablets. So we thought there might be an opportunity here to use social robots to model behaviors for this population. So we went on to this in-home deployment for 1 month. So here, this is a basic setup. We have a social robot like this. I can move, right? You think about this as a Alexa Echo, but it can move with motors essentially. And the big screen where we show educational content that they can play games with. And we have some perception system in the background. And I'll show you why we need that perception systems. So with this setup, what we did is we built in 2 basic social behaviors we want the children to practice. The first one is making eye contact. Right? So as you move around, they will try to make eye contact with you. So this is the first social behavior that we build in. The second is share attention, right? So if you're looking at a screen, I will look at a screen with you as if we are share attention. And these are the kind of social behavior we want to model, the robot to model for children. On top of these two social behaviors, we just add a bit more engaging behavior for the robot, and also turn a lot of in-person practice or exercise they do with clinician into digital form, right? So we build in this we call education components where each family they can play per day, 30 minutes per day, right? So they would use this as an exercise platform for the children to be able to exercise with the robot. And obviously, this is not to replace human experts. Just human experts are very expensive, right? So when they get home, they have this platform to exercise. So I'll just play this to show you the kind of interaction that we build in for this 30 minutes of interaction over 30 days.
Yay! Hi, Eliza. It was really hard leaving my family a few days ago when I had to board my spaceship. Goodbyes can be really sad. I held on tight to prepare for landing. Then, I heard my spaceship splash into the water, and I opened my eyes. Looking around, I could see that I was safe and okay. And I could see that I had safely landed on the beautiful planet Earth. Each day I will have some games to play. If we work together and finish all the day's activities, I will earn back a piece of my gear. Thank you so much for helping me fix my space gear. I'm really excited to play. Which game would you like to play first today? Nice choice. Let me get the game ready. Very cool.
So this is the kind of interaction that we're building. It's we call it fully autonomous systems, and really support the triadic interaction between the child, the parent, the caregiver, and also the robot. Right. So we built a bunch of the deployment set we put out into people's family, and really just trying to see how family would work with this kind of robotic assistance. All right, so some of the results. So as I said, it's really trying to support this triadic interaction because the goal is not to have the children to be able to interact with the robot, but to be able to transfer that skill to human-human interaction. That's why we have this set up where the robot will redirect the child's attention when the time comes. So we deployed this for 30 days. Day 0, we went in for the system. Day 30, we went in to take out the system. So day -30, just before the first deployment, we will do assessment, and the y-axis, you can think about this as their social skill if you want. So day -30, day 0, day 30, day 60, we measure the same thing. And what we found is the robot practice or intervention that helped a little bit was the skill that we're targeting, joint attention. So we see some improvement from the robot assistance or practice, but that benefit did not sustain, right? So that opens up a lot of questions. How long do we need this type of social robots to help with or help the children to practice? So we're looking into this, but this just I want to use this as an example to show you the kind of assistive collaborative robot would look like for people. All right, but if you think about just machine at large, nowadays it's not just physical robot, it is smart speakers, chatbots, avatars, even just without embodiment, like embedded AI decision support systems. And with the growing power of AI and computing, I think it's to me it's very clear that maybe in the near-term future we will have compelling human-machine teamwork or collaboration. But if you think about human-machine collaboration, even the example I show you, it actually is very complex design space. So let me just illustrate this a little bit. Just consider 2 agents, like one human, one robot. On the robot side, it has different kind of embodiment. Somehow that block it, but it's embodiment. Embodiment just means that there are different ways that the robot can display itself, right? So robotic arm, social robots, mobile manipulators, smart speaker, they all afford different type of interactions. And this kind of embodiment essentially open a new space of how do we design behaviors for robots. So a lot of my earlier work is to look into how can we design multimodal behaviors for robots to have compelling interaction with people. So that itself is a black hole. So it's a very rich parameter if you want to think about that variable. We also have this black box intelligence of the robot that's driving a lot of its behavior, right? Especially modern ML approach are pretty much black box, right? So it's really hard for end users to understand what's really going on, what's drive the robot's certain behavior. On the human side, there's a bunch of cognitive biases that's very hard to work with, right? So overtrust, improper compliance, and largely at interaction level, you have tasks, right? Different task stakes, time pressure, or other contextual variables that will influence this interaction dynamics, right? So if you think about human-machine interaction, these are examples of variables, but they are probably more. And all of these come into play of this complex interaction dynamics. And if we don't do it right, it could lead to interaction breakdowns, compromised team performance, and even adoption frictions. So a lot of my group's work in the past few years is just doing a lot of basic empirical research to understand the dynamics of human-machine interactions, and use that understanding to design and develop methods to support machines, robots or not, to help people, to work with people. So you'll see some example of these two threads throughout the talk. So I'll switch gear to just talk a few directions where, as I said, it will fall under this umbrella of human-machine collaboration. So the first one is about task scheduling. Right? So if you think about human-human teamwork, sometimes just onboarding your teammates, you want to, the teammate will schedule your work. Small talk, actually a big part of a lot of human interaction and collaborations. So we'll look into that. And also interaction errors and trust repair, right? So even if you have good teammates, you work for a long time, you still make mistake. Same thing for robot and machines. So how do we think about interaction mistakes and errors, and how do we think about trust repair? All right, so I want to start with task shadowing. So the idea is to see if machine collaborators can channel human perspective when working on something together in the joint space. So the way we sort of try this out is use this very simple IKEA children's chair building task. Right, so it's very simple. I think only 6 pieces. We have participants coming in to do this task. We ask them to wear this head-mounted camera, and we just record, their first-person perspective of how to do the task. And we just have I think 12 people coming into this task. We record their performance and use their performance to build up a task representation of that, this building task, which is, very straightforward, right? Piece 1, piece 2, this is how I connect these 2 pieces. And this, that will be another orientation that I would do the screwing, right? So they will put together, do the screwing, take the next piece, put together, screw together. So that's just keep going. So once we have this task representation, we turn that into something that a machine can operate on. So when a set of new participants coming in want to do this simple task, we will have the robot to pick a piece and present it to this participant. And the interesting here is the robot will present the piece in a way that will be easier for the participants to put together and do the screwing together. So that's the idea. All right, so I just want to show you what it looks like. So this is data collection. People come into the lab doing this kind of easy task. We simplify the vision problem. So all the we get a bunch of data like this, just how to put different pieces together. And I won't go into detail. I'll show you what it looks like when the robot use this model to work with people.
Please screw the 2 parts together.
So the robot will pick up pieces, present it, and ask the user to do the screwing. So this is the way they would do the screwing with our model, versus we compare that to IKEA manual, right? So this is how they would do it. They follow IKEA manual, right? So if you look at this interaction, the person is very awkward hand movement, natural behavior. And part of this is because, for manual, you expect people would actually. So we compared the two, and found that, if the robot can use the user's first person view to present the pieces in a way that's easier for the person, we will see fewer unproductive hand use, and people also think the robot to engage in better teamwork and also be more considerate. So this is one sort of exploration into how can we leverage person's a task first person view to help the operators to do the cooperation better. All right, next one, I want to talk about small talk. So this is interesting. A lot of this is spurred by this large language model movement. So if you look at the example I show you, the physical collaboration in assembly or manufacturing setup, most of the time right now is silence, right? So the robot gives you something, you do your thing, and just like very awkward, right? Just like, no, I do this for the money or for the job. But if you think about human teamwork, people come in, hey, how was your Sunday? Just they talk about kids, they talk about weather, they talk about sports. So the question here is, if we have a bunch of physical robot like this at small and medium-sized manufacturing floor, can we improve the work experience? And obviously we're not doing that yet, but that's our motivation. We do this in the lab. So we want to see, what if this robot manipulator can actually engage in small talk with people? How would that change the interaction dynamics? And do people actually react to something that's not even human-like, just like a robotic arm? So I want to play this video. So the setup here is you have this person, this robot. The robot will pick up different pieces, hand it to the person. The person will use the pieces to put together a toy 3D structure as if they assemble something. All right, so this is what it looks like.
Bring me a green pipe.
Fetching it now. By the way, do you like to travel?
Yes, I do like to travel. Do you like to travel?
I arrived in the U.S. from Germany in a large box.
Bring me a yellow pipe.
It's like, do I engage?
Fetching it now.
So this is Wizard of Arts. I'll tell you a bit behind the scenes.
Apart from that, I have not traveled much myself.
So do you like United States or Germany more?
I do not have personal preferences. I am just here to assist you.
I heard Germany has good chocolate.
I'll speed up a little bit.
Is there anywhere in the U.S. you would like to visit?
I've never been to Las Vegas, and I heard that that's a fun city to visit. Bring me a green pipe.
Fetching it now. What do you hope to do there?
Probably gamble. So go to the casinos, maybe lose some money, It's more for the experience, right?
So the conversation actually goes on. The robot say, "Oh, that sounds like a good plan," and the person said, "No, that sounds like a terrible plan to lose some money." It's a fascinating back and forth. So this is a Wizard of Arts setup, just because we want to start with, do people actually react to this at all, and what kind of reaction they have? So it's pretty just Wizard of Arts. So we have 20% coming in to do this. 18 out of 20 engage in the conversation. So when the robot asks questions, 86% 6% of them actually respond. And the response ranging from very short to something very elaborate, right? And 9 out of 20 actually ask question back to the robot, right? So not just, because you ask me, I respond to you. I also ask, I'm interested in you, therefore I want to ask questions. Here's another example. Robot, on another note, do you like to play games? Response, I like Tetris, if you ever play that. And then interchange that to a task-related question, like, can I get another yellow pipe? Robot, getting it now? No, I have not played it before. Response, you might like it. Robot, can you tell me more about it? And the person goes on to just, it's pretty classic games, pieces falling down, one row, you got, clear out. They even made the movie about it, right? So participants not just answer the question, but try to extend the conversation beyond what was being asked. So we thought this actually pretty interesting, that people somehow got into this idea they can have quote unquote conversation with machines, even though the machine does not necessarily have human-like features, right? So it doesn't have eyes, head, just like a robotic arm and like 2 fingers. So we are moving this to see beyond visual arts and to be more complex collaboration task. So we also start beyond the robots. We also think about this large language model power conversation capability with traditional voice systems, right? So this is last summer before OpenAI rolled out this voice interface, that dominates everything. So this is before their voice interface. They only have text, right? So we were thinking traditional Alexa, they can only mostly handle single term, right? So I ask you something, what's the weather? The weather is blah, blah, blah. And it's really hard to carry on conversation. But on the other hand, large language model give you very conversational interaction. So what we did is we combined these 2 things. We interface Alexa skill with a ChatGPT backend and see how that would change the voice interaction. So we put together this prototype with Alexa skill. We'll make this a little deploy set and put into older adults' home for a month. So next to the speaker is a recording device. So we want to record their authentic conversation, because without that, what you get from Alexa is a transcription. And most of the time, the transcription so we get all the approval and consent and all that. We'll make it look a little bit nice. When it's recording, it will light up. There's a LED on top. It will light up, show that participants we are recording, and just make a little tree and flowers in front of it so that you'll feel better to put at home for a month. But I want to show you one audio clip of the interaction. And this is the actual conversation from the older adults and our deployment set.
Questions do you have? If that's all, until next time.
No, Alexa, please give me more time to answer.
Give me a second. Of course, take your time. I'll be here whenever you're ready to continue the conversation, or if you have any more questions.
In a patient that is pan-hypopituitary, how important is it to work up a fever?
I'm on it. If I understand correctly, you are asking if it is important to work up a fever in a patient who is
So just the conversation goes on, and I was going to say very fluid, but it was actually not, because the voices got interrupted. So we got a bunch of data like this. It shows us a lot about the limitation, the way people talk, the way people respond, that react, right? Because if you just look at the transcription, you won't get reactions. So with this actual recording, we actually got a lot of reactions, right? People talk to their family members about this assistants. They trash talk the assistants and all that got collected. So it's actually very, very rich data set that we're just looking into right now. So it's 4 months interaction, right? It also tells us a lot about how older adults interact with this technology, right? So their speech got break it down much often, and therefore the current technology is not able to handle that. So that's the space we're thinking about to bring voice interaction capability into machines. Next, I want to talk about errors, right? So we just saw example of interaction errors or mistakes. It's actually pretty common in a lot of study that we did. So how do we think about managing those mistakes? And errors are unavoidable, even though so many people working on it. Usually they're unexpected and they have undesirable impact. So just show you the unexpectedness of the error. We'll play this video. Very similar setup. The robot pick up different pieces for the participants. Participant take the piece and put together a 3D structure.
Give me a green pipe.
Maybe hard to hear. So the person requests a green pipe. And the robot accidentally drop it, not intentional, just drop it. And that's just common, right? And one thing that we observe is people react to that mistake. And we actually found this in a variety of situations, a variety of platforms. Different interaction, different setup, people all react socially to machine errors. Not just for robots, for smart speakers. When they say something wrong, they just facially react to it, even though smart speaker cannot sense it. People naturally react to that. So we're thinking, oh, well, maybe we can just use this natural social signal as a way to do error detection. And it's just much more flexible, right? Traditional error detection, you need to have a very clear understanding of the task in order to know what went wrong, right? So if we don't have any understanding of the task, how do we do it? The idea is to, let's try social reaction. So we have a pretty big data set on this with different scenarios, different type of embodiment, different type of robots, and build a model out of this. And here I'm just going to show you what can we do with this this kind of model, right? So similar interaction, robot picking up pieces, pass it to a person. We have this camera assistant. When it detects there might be something wrong, the robot will say, hey, am I doing all right? And the person will say, oh, no, you're not. And then the robot will go on to fix it. So that's what we're going to see.
Give me a green pipe.
Give me a green pipe. Did not close the gripper. Am I doing all right? There was a little bit of reaction, might be hard to see, but the robot said, am I doing all right? And the person said no. So this essentially allow us to do more proactive error checking to prevent catastrophic outcomes. All right, so that's one way to think about detection. But if you think about error management, detection is only the first step, right? Once you detect it, you need to do something about it. So we build on top of this, and the way we think about this is quote unquote trust repair. And this is a very large term, but we studied this by looking at how to do apology. How machines should apologize to the user when something's wrong. I want to contextualize this into voice interaction with this our in-home built smart speaker. So this is an intent recognition error. So I'll play it as Humnance.
Phoenix, add self-rising flower.
Okay, I found a dozen roses. Should I add to cart?
No.
Let's try that again.
Phoenix, add baking flour.
Okay, I found King Arthur flower. Should I add to cart? So this is the context
we study. We manipulate the Humnan mistakes. And the apologize strategy that we look at has these two dimensions. One is the attitude of the robot, the machines, and also blame assignment, right? So serious attitude versus casual, taking the blame versus shifting the blame, right? So machine would say, serious setup, I'm sorry for the inconvenience versus, oh, sorry for the mishap. For taking blame, I have difficulty distinguishing between harmonics versus shifting the blame. The engineering team must have made a mistake in the system update last night, right? Just trying to blame the engineers. So we look at this manipulation, and what we found is, for this to work well, machines, voice assistant need to own mistakes sincerely, right? So if they accept the mistake and apologize seriously, people think they are more intelligent and also just more likable. However, it's very tricky to design trust repair or apologize strategies. So this is a follow-up study, very similar setup. Participants interact with the speaker, trying to buy something to the speaker. And we look at participants' gender, voice assistant's projected gender, and also repair strategy. What we found is male participants interrupt the machine mistakes more than female participants. And also male participants essentially interact more when the machine tries to compensate the mistake as opposed to trying to apologize. So I'll play one example here. It's kind of extreme, but just take a listen.
Okay, I found green tea clay face mask.
Yeah,
Should I add to cart?
Yeah, add that to cart.
Got it. Item has been added to your cart. I will give you a $10 credit that can be applied to your future purchases with us for the inconvenience caused.
Oh my god. Thank you.
Obviously, this is a bit extreme.
I want.
It's a way that we see quite a bit of the male participants just more tend to interrupt more during this trust repair period. So it's really tricky to design a good trust repair strategy. Another thing that we found is power dynamic also come into the play when we think about trust repair. So this is not in the voice interaction setup. It's actually with robot, physical robot again. Here, the robot is trying to work with the person to put together this meal, right? It's a total example. The robot will pick up different ingredients, pass it to the person, and the person will put together pasta or something. We manipulate the authority of the robot to be either a quote-unquote supervisor or subordinate. And the way we manipulate that is through the speech, right? So the robot either be more confident, say, I'll give you this is the next ingredient, versus tell me what you need. There's a recipe on the screen, the person can request, right? So that's how we manipulate that. And people react to also see that differences. So that's the manipulation check. So what we found is people's subjective perception of trust got increased more when the supervisor robot repaired it compared to the subordinate robot. So that effect is much stronger, I think, for the strategy. We also see differences, but I think the effect there is it's smaller. So there's this power coming to play that supervisor robot can repair trust much easier than less authoritative robots. What's interesting to us is they also lead to improper compliance, right? So let's walk a little bit. So it's improper compliance. When the supervised robot tells you to do something that's wrong, people comply it. As opposed to subordinate robot, there's no compliance at all. But for supervised robot, there's compliance. Here's the example. Robot. Now chop and add sausage to the pot, and then pick up mushroom. And participants notice that it's the mushroom is not sausage and say, what if it is wrong? And the robot continue, I don't care, it's wrong, it's still, do it. So pass it over. Even though the participants recognize it is a wrong item, still take it and chop it and put it into a cooking pot. So this is a little bit concerning. This is a total example in the lab, but we see that, slight differences here. We have an ongoing project where we look at human radiologists, human expert. It's an online survey with 200 US human radiologists. We manipulate AI suggestions. We see similar patterns. Even though they're experts, they still fall into inaccurate robot suggestions, or AI suggestions in that case, not robots. So I think we are seeing some of this and start to think about how can we do this trust calibration on the fly. I don't think I will talk about today, but I'm happy to chat offline if you're interested in that. So that's the trust repair part. So I use some examples to show you there are a lot of dimensions into this idea of collaboration and teamwork. We look into shadowing, into small talk, managing interactions, trust calibration, although I didn't talk about it today. And it's actually pretty rich space. I want you to use a few minutes to talk about some of the stuff. So the example I showed you earlier are pretty much just basic lab setup, right? We didn't do. I mean, the only deployment I show you was the speaker. But now, as my group is trying to consolidate a lot of our basic understanding of the interaction dynamics and put it into something that that will work in the field. So the space that we're looking at is home care for older adults. We want to do longitudinal field work, and this line of work I'm personally very excited about. Got delayed because of COVID. We only be able to pick this up again about 2 years ago. So we're still very early on here. So the approach that we take is just go to the field, really just bring systems to local communities, right? So we bring robots, we deploy systems, we do in-depth co-design or interview and co-design sessions with participants. And that's just the philosophy that we take as working with older adults in community in Baltimore. So I want to give you maybe one quick example of this is we think about robots to support physical activities. There are so many benefits about physical activities. Disease preventions, improve mental health. Not surprisingly, people don't do it. Right? So over 60% of Americans over age 50 do not engage recommended physical activity. Right? Even young adults like ourselves, I don't think we engage enough. So this is not a new problem. This is pretty like well-known problem. So we're thinking, can we use something that's more engaging to engage older adults with these physical activities, right? So we're thinking, could robots to play a role here? So we went through this whole process of really go to the community, interview, talk to people, do co-design workshops, have them come to us to tell what they are looking for, what they are thinking, do some sketches, and we based on that would be a prototype. This is some example of the participants that we're working with. They come from different backgrounds with different conditions, either living alone or at the rehab or assisted living centers. There are quite a bit of motivation, and this is probably not new. This just confirms a lot of prior findings, right? So they are really motivated to do more physical activities. They want to be able to connect with their grandchildren, grandkids, their families. They really want encouragement from either peers or the exercise leaders. They want to be able to see the progress and many other more. So we take this as an input to our design of the robot system. But there are also a lot of barriers that they are facing, right? So I just want to highlight one is feel embarrassment, right? So inability to keep up with activity group, right? So one of the things that a lot of people do is go to the community center, do exercise together, right? Because that's not just doing exercise, but you also have social support, social interactions. It's good for them. But they also feel embarrassed, worried to be embarrassed. So we take this and also their sketches, right? So this is, we redo it, but this is from the ideas, right? So they are thinking, maybe social robots can be useful here, can lead the exercise, maybe can interact with remote participants or something. They also think about more physical type of robots. And again, this is coming from older adults, right? For example, just like an eco suit that they can wear. It's very futuristic, right? Once you are going to fall, there's a spring coming out. This obviously it's not there, but that's the idea. So we take this actually, I would say seriously, but not all the way to the spring part, but take this idea in general seriously. And we start to build prototype. So this is our very first version. Setup is very similar to the beginning video I showed you with the children with autism. You have a little robot, you have a big monitor that shows educational content. In this case, is exercise program. we have camera to track their emotions, and based on their emotions, the robot will provide feedback. No, you are doing well, continue, that kind of stuff, right? You need to raise your arm a little bit. So we have this prototype. We just did a 1-week deployment, just a pilot. We got some feedback, and now we are working on that feedback, hopefully to put the system out again. We also start to work with a collaborator at NC State to actually bring this idea of exoskeletons into older adults. Because traditionally, these are not used for older adults. They are used for people with actual physical disabilities or factory workers where they want to hold very heavy stuff. But we're starting, maybe we should also try this, just increase their willingness to do daily exercise or even just general daily physical activities. So we just got this pilot project from NIH to do this, and we want to see how this will actually, to see some benefit of this exoskeleton for older adult physical activities. So it's very exciting, something that really coming from person's idea that we sort of take it, even though not exactly the same, there's no screen, but it's close enough to be able to support them physically, their body weight and weak muscles. So hopefully I'll have more to share in a few years. But those are the direction that we're pushing. The way we go about this is really go to the field, talk to people, and try to do this over a long period of time. So with that, thank you for your attention. I'll be happy to take questions. And obviously, this is a lot of collaborations with peers and students. Thank you.